Hey everyone, welcome back to the React.js course. So inside this video, we'll be building a fully front-end pizza application inside of React.js. And if you find this interesting, let's get started right away. So in this video, we'll be building a fully functional front-end React.js application. So we'll be basically building a pizza kind of application in React.js. So this project is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so we'll be learning how to render different components, how to design the products, basically that is how to render all the different kinds of products on a screen. And then we'll also be implementing the Redux card system as we have done in our previous videos. So this is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of learning as well. So yeah, let's get started. So the first step is to create a React project. So let us get into that. So currently inside my terminal, I'm in my build folder. Now let's get into the process of creating our first React app. Okay, so inside my build folder, let me write npx create React app. Okay, so let's name it let's say pizza React. And so this is the way we create a new React application. We're gonna write npx and then create React app, and after that we are going to write our application name. So in this case it's gonna be pizza React. Okay, or you can give whatever name you are interested. Okay, so let's press on enter. So this should create all the dependencies required to start building up our app. Okay, so this is gonna take some time, so let's wait for that to happen. So after this gets installed, we'll be moving to that particular folder directory, and then we'll start building up the application from scratch. Okay, so let's wait for some more time. It's going to take some time to install all the folders, node modules, the src folder, and so on. Okay guys, so now the project has been installed and initialized. So basically you should be seeing this message which says happy hacking. So that means our folder is created inside our build folder, that is basically the pizza React folder, and we are good to go. So let's move on to that particular folder. Okay, let's go to our build folder, and then let's press on pizza React. Okay, so this is the boilerplate code that React has given us when we initialize a React managed project. Okay, so we have pretty much the node modules, and we have the public folder where we have basically the icons, the index.html file, basically the logos. Okay, that is the React logo, and that is it about the public directory. So inside our src folder we have basically the app.js, app.css, index.js, index.css, and we have other files that are not required. That is basically the setup tests and the report web vitals, as well as app.test.js. And we pretty much have package.json. So all the dependencies that we install are gonna go over here. Okay, so now let's look into our app.js. So this is our starting point of our application. So basically we are returning a div. Okay, and inside the div they have given a header, and inside the header we have basically an image and a p tag and a p tag at the and a tag at the last. Okay, so now the first step is to let's run the app. So let's open up new terminal, and we are in the correct directory. We're gonna say yarn start. So this should fire up our application, and it should open up on localhost 3000. Okay, so let's wait for that. So it's taking some time. Yeah, so this is what the starting point is. So basically we have a image and a p tag and a tag. So let's say we remove everything. Okay, so whatever is there inside our header, that is just being displayed inside on the web page, right? So let's remove out the header. Save the file. You should be seeing a blank screen. Okay, because there is nothing present inside our app.js, right? So now what we do is we are gonna write let's say a h1 tag. Okay, so let's write a text message. Okay, so we'll say this is the starting point of the React application. Okay, so let us save the file once. Yeah, so as you can see, we can see the text coming up on the screen. So this is because of the h1 tag that we have initialized inside our app.js. So actually it should come from towards the, it should actually come from the left side, right? So it is taking some extra space, and because of some default styling that is present inside our app.css. So that's the reason it's coming towards the center part. Okay, so if you go into our app.css, let's remove everything. And now if I save the file, and now if I check the web page, it should start from the left side, but again still we have some spacing problem at the top. So to remove that, we're going to go inside our index.js. We're going to target everything, that is the star, and we're going to say margin of 0 and save the file. Okay, yeah, so now we are in the correct direction. Okay, because it is starting from the top left part and it is in the correct direction. Okay, so I think that's it about the app.js part. So now the first thing we're going to build is the header. Okay, so let us initialize our header. So for that reason, let me create some folders inside our source folder over here. So one is for the components, basically. One is, let's say, for the data that we have, and we also need access to, let's say, the screens. Okay, yeah, for now we need just these three folders. So the first thing we're gonna build is the header, right? So we're gonna say header.js, and we're gonna write rfc to get the shorthand snippet. So save the file. So to get the shorthand snippet, you need to have installed ES7 inside your systems. That is basically this one. Okay, ES7, React, Redux, and React Native snippets. Okay, so if you install this, we are gonna get all the code snippets by just typing a few letters. Okay, so let's come back to our file tree over here, and let us start writing the header. Okay, so header, the first thing inside the header is towards the left part. We have the image. So let me just get the link for the image right now. I've just pasted the link for the image. Okay, so this is basically the Domino's logo that is present. So now we are gonna give the style. So before that, let us create the CSS file as well. So we're gonna say header.css. Okay, and let's import our CSS file into our header.js. Okay, over here we're gonna say import header.css. Okay, like this. And now let's say class name. Okay, so this is gonna be header. Okay, so for this it's gonna be header left. Okay, so let's save the file and let's import our header into our app.js, right? So over here we're gonna say import header from the components folder as such, like this, and save the file. So now we should be seeing pretty much the logo of Domino's. Okay, so currently it is white because the text is in white, and even the background of our web page is in white. So let's give the background color to the outermost div, that is basically the header itself. So we're gonna target the header. Let's give the background color, so it is gonna be 005899. Okay, we're gonna provide some internal spacing, that is padding of 8 pixels. Okay, so let's save the file, and after this div we have another another div container, which is gonna have the class name of header mid. Okay, so this is gonna have pretty much two texts, that is h3. It's gonna say select location. Okay, so again we have a h3 tag which says select location according to your place. Okay, something like this. So that's about the second div, and let us save the file. Let's check out our web page. Yeah, so as you can see, we can see the Domino's icon the Domino's logo correctly being seen, and then we have these two texts. Okay, so now let's go back to our index.css and provide, let's say, a font family, not font size, font family. Let's choose this one and save the file. Yeah, so I think this is okay. So now what we do is let's come back to our header.js over here and let us create another div that is the final one. So this is again going to contain a h4 tag. So this is going to contain basically the name. Okay. So after this we have another h4 tag which is going to contain pretty much the phone number tag. Okay. So let's save the file and let's come back to our web page. Yeah, so you can see all the information being rendered on the screen. So now we're going to style this up correctly. Okay, so for the header, which is going to contain these three divs, that is the first one, second one, and the third one, we're going to give the styles. Okay, basically this should come inside a row. So for that reason, let's target the header. It's already targeted inside a CSS file. We're going to say display flex, align items of center, and then justify content of space between. Okay, so let's save the file. Let's come back to the web page. Yeah, so you can see all the information being correctly positioned, that is it is correctly in space around direction. Okay, so the next thing we look into is basically the text. So let us target over here. Let's give the class name for this. We're going to say header text. So let us copy that and give the same piece of class name for the second one as well. Save the file. Let's come back to our header.css, and over here we're going to say a font size of 12 pixels and a font weight of, let's say, 500 for now, and let's see how exactly it's looking. So let's come back to our web page over here. Yeah, I think it's pretty small, so let us increase the font size to be 14 and let's keep the color to be white. Okay, like this. Save the file. Yeah, I think that's looking better. So now what we do is, for the second piece of text that is towards the right, what we have, I think we're going to give the same thing for that as well. So for this, class name is going to be header right. Again over here, the class name is going to be header text itself. So pretty much let's copy and paste over here. Okay, so yeah, I think that's looking better. So let's provide some spacing to the towards the right of the right container, that is basically the right div. So for that reason, let me target the header right and give some margin right to it. Okay, so over here we're gonna say header right, and we are giving margin right of, let's say, 10 pixels, and save the file. Okay, yeah, I think that's looking better. So the next thing we look into is basically the next part, that is to render all the different kinds of products. Okay, so let me get the products now. Okay guys, so inside my data folder, I've created a new file called as the pizza.js, and inside that we have created a bunch of pizza items. So you will be getting all this data. Okay, so no need to worry about that. So over here, if you look at the data carefully, so we have pretty much an array of objects over here. So inside the array we have a unique ID. So pretty much inside a object, we have a unique ID for a particular item. We have the name of the pizza, and then we have the description of the pizza, and we have the price, the image link, as well as if it is veg, if it is veg, that is true or false. Okay, we have a boolean value for that. So based on this data, we'll be rendering pretty much our pizza items onto the screen. Okay, so let us save this file and let's come back to our app.js, create a new file that is basically body. So let's come to the components folder. Let's press on new file. So it's going to be body.js. Okay, not sj. Let's rename that. Okay, let's press rfce, not over there, to get the shorthand snippet. So save the file. Let's also create our body.css file over here. So it's going to be body.css. And let's import our body.css inside our body.js. Like this. Okay, so now let's save the file. So firstly, let's import our pizza data from our data folder. So we're going to say import pizza from data pizza, So we're gonna initialize that over here. Const data equals to pizza. So over here we're gonna say data.map for every item and the index. Okay, so let's say we want to return a new kind of component for each of the item that is present inside our data. Okay, data array. So for that reason, let me create a new component again. That is gonna be pizza item, then rfce, save the file. So components again, new file. So this is for the css file. So it's gonna be pizza item dot css. Let's import our our css file into our pizza item.js. So it's gonna be import okay. So pretty much let's access our pizza item as such like this. It's already imported, and let's provide some props to it. That is basically passing some data, that is the item itself, and the key value, it's gonna be index. Okay, so over here inside our body.js, we are pretty much mapping over through the data array, and for every item that is present inside our data array, we are returning a new pizza item component, and we are passing the item as props to the pizza item. Okay, so let's save the file over here also, and let's check out our web page. Okay, so still nothing is being seen. So I think body is imported. Okay, it's not imported, so that's the reason it's not being seen. So after the header, we're gonna show the body, right? So import body from the components folder like this, and let's save the file. Okay, let's come back to our web page. Yeah, so there you go. So pretty much we are able to see all the pizza items. So essentially we have I think 10 to 11 items. So that's the reason, since we are mapping through each and every item present inside our pizza array, and we are returning a new component that is pizza item. So since we have pizza item over here inside this particular component, so that's the reason we are seeing pizza item 11 times. I mean, how many other times how many ever times the objects are there, basically the number of pizzas, right? So now we're going to design this component. So firstly, let's access the pizza over here by destructuring the value like this. Okay, so next what we do is we're going to start initializing the div tag, and we're going to write the image. Okay, so the source is gonna be pizza.image itself. Save the file. Okay, so nothing is being seen. I think there is some error. Okay, I think this should be source. Okay, this is correct, but let's check out the image. Yeah, that is correct, but it's still not showing, right? Let's come back to our pizza item. And let's give some style to the image right over here. Let's say a width of 150 and a height of, let's say, 80, right? So save the file. Okay, let's just check our console once if there are any errors. Yeah, so okay, so cannot read properties of undefined, reading images. Okay, so let's look into this correctly, why exactly it's not showing. So firstly, let us console.log our pizza, so basically the props, if it's exactly coming or not. Nope, I think that's because if okay, so we are initializing it to pizza, and inside our pizza we are exporting the value correctly. So where exactly is the error coming from? Let's comment this out, and now let's just check out the data. Okay, it is currently undefined. That means we are not correctly sending the props, right? Or let's console.log the data. This value, save the file. Yeah, it is correct, it is coming correctly. We have all the 11 items, but inside our pizza it's not coming correctly, right? Okay, so over here inside the pizza component, I mean the pizza item, we are sending the item, whereas over here inside the pizza item, oh okay, my bad, because we have just written pizza over here, so this also should be the same name. Okay, so it's gonna be pizza, so pizza value is gonna be item, so then only it's gonna come. So let's save the file and let's come over here. So basically to the web page, now we should see the console.log correctly. Yeah, so there you go, we can see all the correct information coming from the previous screen, okay, from this component. So let us come and uncomment this one. Okay, so save the file. Yeah, so you can see all the pizzas coming. Okay, so we have pretty much all the images that are showing up, so which is looking good. So now after this we have is basically another div. Okay, so this is going to contain basically the description details, right? So basically the name, the description, and the price as well. And we also have the button, that is the add to cart button, and the remove from cart button. Okay, so we're going to say heads4. So this is going to be our pizza.name. Okay, so again we have a heads4, so this is going to be pizza.description. We're going to make use of the, firstly we're going to check if its length is greater than 30. If it is greater than 30, then we're going to slice it. Okay, we're going to say pizza dot description dot length dot substring, or the substring method. We just want 0 to 30 characters, else we're just going to show pizza dot description. Okay, so save the file, and after this we have some 3 dots like this. Okay, again we have a bug. Let's check out our console. Okay, substring, okay, dot length dot substring is not a function, right? So yeah, so I think this should not come. I think now it's correct. Yeah, now we are getting the details correctly. Okay, so the next thing we have is basically the button that we need to display, right? So this is gonna say add to cart. Okay, so let's give the class name for the outer div. That's gonna be pizza item container, or yeah, let's keep it pizza item container itself. And for the first div, that is this one, we're gonna say class name equals to pizza item itself. And for this div, it's gonna be pizza item outer container. Okay, so that's going to be the image, and we have given the inline styling for that. So this is going to be the pizza item text. So we're going to say class name is pizza item text. Okay, so the next thing we have is for the h4 tag. So for this thing, it's going to be pizza item description. Okay, so for this we can give pretty much pizza item button. Okay, so it's going to be pizza item button. So let's give the styles for this. Okay, so now what we do is let's target this one, that is basically the pizza item. I mean not the pizza item, firstly inside our body. So currently it is in a column fashion, we need to show it in a row. Okay, so for that reason let's come back to our body, and for this let's give the class name. So class name is going to be body, and let's go into our body.css. like this. Okay, so we're gonna say display of flex, and we're gonna give flex wrap of wrap. Okay, so in case there is, so it's gonna come in a row, and in case there is no space, it's gonna take up the next line. Okay, so that's about the flex wrap. Like this. So over here pretty much we have no space to put this item, so that's the reason it is coming into the next screen. Okay, I mean not the next screen, the next line basically. So I think that's the way this works. So let's try to give some margin over here of 20 pixels. Hopefully they should work. Okay, so the next thing we look into is I think we can give margin inside our pizza item itself, if I'm not wrong. So for the pizza item, let's target that. Let's just copy the margin of 20. Okay, yeah, I think this is okay, looking better. So now what we do is we're gonna style up the texts firstly, because they're looking huge. So let's target the pizza item text and give the styling for that. Okay, so let's copy that out, and we're gonna say font size of 14 pixels and font weight of 500. Okay, so color is of course going to be black. So let's come back to the web page. Yeah, so you can see the correct spelling, right? I mean the correct style for the name of the pizza. So the next thing we target is basically the description, that is this one. So let's pretty much copy that out, paste it over here, and we're going to say font size of 14 pixels, font weight of 500. And the next thing we have is basically the color. Over here we're going to give gray. Okay, we're also going to give a specific width to it, a width of let's say 150 pixels, and save the file. Okay, so yeah, so it is just taking the width, it is just taking as much as width of the image basically. Okay, so the next thing we look into is, so we're going to provide a gray color background to the web page, and we're going to give a white color background to this part. Okay, so like this is going to come like that. So for that reason, let's come back to our app.css. Okay, so over here, and let's target the app. So basically inside our app we have header and body. So let's go to the app like this. Okay, we're going to say display flex and flex direction of column, and background color is gonna be E0 E0 E0. Okay, so that's a light color, and let's give a height of 100 VH. Okay, save the file. Let's come back to the web page. Yeah, I think now this is looking better. So now let's come back to our pizza item. So over here, and for this, that is basically the pizza item container, we're going to give the style, that is a background color of white, a bit of internal spacing, that is 8 pixels padding, and save the file. Okay, so we have pretty much everything. So let's give the height also for this thing. So height is gonna be, let's say 120 pixels, and the width is gonna be 150 pixels. Okay, save the file. Okay, we should give the same width of the image that we have given. Okay, so if you check out the image that is there inside our pizza item itself, that is the inline styling. So width is 150 itself. So let's copy that out, and yeah, we have given 150, but it's still overflowing. I don't know why. Let's give 120 and check. Nope, it's not still taking. So let's give a width of 100%. I think it's gonna just take it fully. Nope. Yeah. Okay, I think let's increase the basically the width of the image, right? So over here to our pizza item, we're gonna say 170 to the image. I think, yeah, I think this is looking better. Okay, so now what we do is we are going to decrease the height of this part basically. So to do that, let's come back to our pizza item.css, and let's keep this to be 100. Okay, or even I think 80 is good. Okay, yeah, so the next thing is we're going to design the button. So for that, let's target the button. Class name given is pizza item button. Let's write that out, and we're going to say border 1 pixel solid green. And we have a slide border radius of 5 pixels. And yeah, let's just look at this. Okay, so let's give some margin top to it. Of 10 pixels. Save the file. Okay, I think that's looking better. So now what we do is the next thing is, I think we need to give a cursor pointer as well to this. So cursor pointer, and let's give it a color of green to the text. Font size of 14 pixels, font weight of 500. Okay, let's check out it. Yeah, I think that's looking better. We have the cursor pointer also. So the next step we look into is basically the Redux part of it, because we have already designed the products and we have rendered the products. Okay, so yeah, so for firstly, let's install the dependencies for Redux. Okay, so let's come over to our terminal over here. Open up a new terminal actually, and we're gonna say yarn add React Redux, and let's install this. And after this we need to install pretty much the Redux toolkit. So let us install Redux toolkit. Let's press on get started, and let's install it using the yarn command, this one. Okay, so it's still taking some time. That is a React Redux dependency, so let's wait for that to install. So basically React Redux, it's going to provide us the provider basically that we need to include it inside our application. Okay, and the Redux toolkit, that's going to provide us the basically to create our own slice and then write the functionality for that. Okay, so I think it's almost done. Okay, let's paste this code and pretty much remove the hashtag, that one, that is yarn. And now let's press on enter. So this should install the dependencies for a Redux toolkit. So now let us create a new folder inside our src itself, that is basically Redux, and we're gonna say cart slice .js. Okay, so now we are gonna write the functionality for the add to cart as well as remove from cart, and also the remove also the decrement quantity as well as increment quantity as well. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna firstly import create slice from the Redux toolkit. Okay, so we're gonna say export const cart slice equals to, we're gonna say create slice. Okay, and over here what we are going to provide is the first thing inside the create slice method is the name that we need to give. So name, so over here in our case, since we are building a cart system as we have done in our previous video, so essentially our cart is going to contain a set of objects that is basically a number of items in the form of an array. So we are going to provide the name of cart. Okay, so the cart is going to the name is going to be cart, and let's say the initial state. So since we're building a cart system, as I already told, so we're going to say cart, and we're going to provide empty initial array, because at the initial stage there are no items added into our cart. Okay, so that's the reason I'm providing empty cart that is inside our initial state. So the next thing is basically the reducers that are going to come in. It's going to take in an object, and we're going to start write all the reducers. So we'll be writing 4, that is the first one is add to cart, and then we're going to write remove from cart, and basically increment quantity and then decrement quantity. Okay, yeah, so let's write all of those. So the first thing is add to cart. So it's going to take in our state and action. Okay, and yeah, so firstly let's discuss how we can write the functionality for add to cart. Okay, so if you check out our UI over here, so basically we have our add to cart button. Okay, so if the button, I mean if a particular product is already added into our cart, and again if you press on the add to cart button, in that case we are just going to simply increase the quantity of that particular item. So else if that particular item is not added into the cart and the user is pressing on the add to cart button for the first time, then in that case we are just going to push the details into the cart, and then we're going to initialize a quantity of 1 to that particular item. Okay, so that's the way the add to cart functionality works. Okay, so now let's write the functionality for that over here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the condition check, and we're going to check if the item is already present inside the cart. Okay, so if you're going to say if item present, okay, so over here we're going to say const item present equals to state dot cart dot find. We're going to access the item, and we're going to check if the item dot id equals to the action dot payload dot id. Okay, so if this is the case, and if we press on the add to cart button, let's say, in that case we just need to increase the quantity of the item by 1. Okay, so we're going to say if item present, we're going to say item present dot quantity plus plus. Okay, else if the item is not present inside the cart and the user is pressing on the add to cart button for the first time, then in that case we are pretty much going to push that particular item into the cart, that is with all the details. Okay, we're going to say state dot cart dot push whatever is there inside our action dot payload, and we're going to initialize a quantity of 1 to that particular product. Okay, so let's save the file. So I think that's it about the functionality for add to cart. So now let's move on to the next one, that is remove from cart. Okay, so this also going to take in the state and action. Okay, so let's check how the remove from cart exactly works. Okay, so this method is going to work based on the filter condition. So we'll be filtering basically based on the ID of the product. So if we press on the remove from cart button, then we are going to filter that particular product outside of the cart based on the ID. Okay, so we're going to say const remove item equals to state dot cart dot filter. So for every item we're gonna check if the item dot id is not equal to the action dot payload dot id. Okay, so in this case pretty much we are filtering out the products based on the id of that particular product inside the cart. So we're gonna say state dot cart equals to remove item. Okay, so that's it about the remove from cart functionality. So now let's move on to the next one, that is increment quantity. Okay, so this also is essentially going to take in, of course, the state and action. Okay, so let's think how the increment quantity is going to work. So over here also we're going to check if the item is present. So if the item is present, then we're simply going to increase the quantity of the item by 1. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to say const item present equals to the state dot cart dot filter. For every item we're going to check if the item dot id equals to the action dot payload dot id. Okay, and after this we're just going to say item present plus plus. Okay, sorry, not item present plus plus, it's going to be item present dot quantity plus plus. Okay, so after this we have is of course the last one, that is a decrement quantity. So we're going to say decrement quantity. So this is going to take in the state and action. Okay, so of course, okay, so this is going to be a little bit different. So the increment quantity is applied on the plus button that we have, and the decrement quantity is going to be applied on the minus button. So let's say if the quantity of any particular product is 1 and the user presses on the minus button, so in that case we should show the add to cart button, or we should pretty much remove that particular item from the cart. So in case the quantity of any particular item is more than 2, let's say it's 3, 4 or even 10, in that case then we should decrease the quantity of that particular item by just 1 if the user presses on the minus button. Okay, so let's write that out. So const item present equals to state dot cart dot find if the item dot id equals to the action dot payload dot id. So if item present dot quantity equals to 1, so in this case we should pretty much remove this item from the cart, right? So let's do that. So const remove item equals to state dot cart dot filter. So we're gonna say item dot id is not equal to the action dot payload dot id. Okay, so save the file, and we're gonna say state dot cart equals to remove item. Else, if this is not the case, that means the quantity is more than 2. So we're just gonna say state, or not state, it's gonna be item present toward quantity minus. Okay, so I think that's it. We have explored about 4 reducers, that is add to cart, remove from cart, increment quantity, as well as decrement quantity. So let us pretty much export the given values. Okay, so let's export const add to cart, remove from cart, increment quantity and decrement quantity equals to cart slice dot actions. Okay, and we're gonna say export default cart slice dot reducer. Okay, so let us save the file. So now the next step is we have just initialized our cart slice, so we need to create something called as a store that is required for Redux. So let's go do that now. Okay, so inside a source folder, let's press on new file, and we're gonna say store.js. Okay, so inside our store, firstly we're gonna import something called as the configure store. So let's say import configure store from Redux toolkit. Okay, so we're gonna say export default configure store. Okay, so this is pretty much going to take in the reducer. So the name we're going to give in this case is going to be cart, and we're going to pass in the cart reducer. So let's import our cart reducer from the cart slice file. So import cart reducer from, it's gonna be inside our, where was I, inside a Redux folder. Okay, and cart slice. Okay, so I think that's it. So let us save the file. So I think we have created our store. Okay, so the next thing is we have, so for everything to work we need to include a provider, okay, inside our app.js. So let's do that part right now. So let's come back to our app.js over here, and over here let's initialize a provider. Let's import it from React Redux like this, and let us copy these two values over here. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to provide the store over here to the provider. So let us import the store for this. So we're going to say import store from store like this. So let's save the file and let's check if everything has, okay, so nothing has gone wrong, everything is in correct direction and position. So now let's check if everything is right. So for that, let's come back to our body and we're going to access our cart. Okay, that is basically our array, and we're going to check if it is empty or not. So if it is empty, we should actually get empty because at the initial stage there is no items added into our cart, right? So let's check that out. So we're going to say const cart equals to, we'll be making use of the use selector hook. So use selector, we'll access the state dot cart dot cart, okay, to access basically the cart value. So save the file. You're going to say console.log of cart. Let's come to our console and let's check that out. Yes, I think it is working. Yeah, we are getting, so let's remove the console.logs, the remaining console.logs that is over here inside our pizza item. So let's remove this one. Let's save the file. Yeah, so let's refresh it again. Yeah, so as you can see, we are getting an initially empty array, which is absolutely fine. So this part is working correctly. So now the next thing we want to look into is how to dispatch items into our cart, okay, into our store. So let's do that. So let's come back to our pizza item over here, and we are gonna say firstly, so to dispatch items to the store, we'll be making use of the use dispatch hook. So let's initialize the use dispatch hook first inside our pizza item. Okay, so we're gonna say const dispatch equals to use dispatch, okay, like this. Let's import it from React Redux like that, and where we have the add to cart button, let's provide a on press event on that, the on click event. Okay, so we're gonna check, we're gonna say add item to cart. So we're gonna pass in some value to it, that is basically the pizza itself, that's coming from the props, that is this one. So now we have initialized this function. Let us go define it at the top over here. So const add item to cart equals to, it's gonna take in, let's say pizza itself or item. So first thing we do is we write dispatch, and we're going to import the action that we just initialized inside our cart slice, that is we want this one, add to cart action. So let's get that out from the cart slice folder. Let's import that like this, and we're going to pass in the payload of item. That's it. Okay, so if you press on the add to cart button, pretty much this particular any particular item should be added into our cart. Okay, so let's save the file and let us check our console pretty much. Okay, so open up our console. So currently we have an empty array. Let's press on the first item. Yes, so the first item has been added into our array. Okay, so you can see the length of 1, and you can see farmhouse has been added with the quantity of 1. Okay, so now let's say I again press on the add to cart button. So it's going to go into the if condition of the first action, that is add to cart, and since the condition is true, we are simply going to increase the quantity to be 1. So let's give that a try. Okay, so quantity is going to be 2, and we have one product again in our cart. Okay, so I think that's the way this thing works. So now we're going to write the condition basically. If the item is present inside the cart, so in that case we are just going to show the remove from cart button. Okay, so over here where we have our h4, let's pretty much format once. Okay, let's reduce this and let's write the condition. We have access to the cart. No, we don't. So let's get that access. So we're going to say const cart equals to use selector. We're going to access the state and we're going to say state dot cart dot cart. Okay, so let us save the file. And now what we do is we're going to check the condition for the cart. Okay, so basically inside, after the h4 tag, we're going to say if cart dot, we'll be making use of the sum method. So if for any value, if the c dot id equals to the pizza dot id that's coming from the props. So in this case, so if this condition becomes true, that means a particular item is present inside of a cart. Okay, so for that reason we're going to show remove from cart button for that. Okay, so let's pretty much copy this button and paste it over here. Same thing, paste it over here as well. Okay, so let us save the file. Let's format it once. So instead of add to cart, so this is going to be remove from cart. So remove from cart, and let us save the file once. Okay, so let's come back over here. Yeah, so since the first item is present inside the cart, we can see remove from cart coming on the first item, okay, of our pizza component. So now what we do is we're gonna write the condition for, we're gonna initialize a new function for our remove from cart as well. So let's write that out over here. So we're gonna say remove item from cart, and we're gonna pass in pizza again as the value. Okay, so now let's initialize this function at the top over here. So we're gonna say const remove item from cart equals to item, and we're gonna say dispatch. Okay, and we are gonna pass in the second action that we just wrote, that is remove from cart of item. Okay, so let's import the remove from cart from the cart slice, right, like this. Save the file, and yeah, I think let's come back and check the console. So currently we have one product inside our cart. Okay, that is this one. So now let's say I try to remove this. So we are making use of the filter method, as we have already told. So we are basically filtering that particular product outside of the cart. Okay, so let's check if that's exactly working. So let's press on remove from cart. So this should give me again the add to cart UI. Yes, it's absolutely working, and inside our console we have an empty array again. Okay, so that part is working exactly fine. So the next thing we look into is we're gonna render a cart item over here, so that if we press on that, we move on to the next screen, that is basically the cart screen. Okay, so let's render that icon. So to get the icon, we'll be making use of a material UI. So let's install that. So we're gonna say material UI. Let's go over here. Let's press on get started, and let's move on to installation over here. Let's pretty much do the default installation, that's this one. And let's open up our new terminal or over here itself, and let's install the dependency. Let's press enter. So this should install the material UI into our application. So after this, we'll be installing basically the icons. So let us search for that. So let's say icons. Let's move on to the installation page. Okay, I'm not getting that. Okay, we need to install basically, yeah, I think this one for icons. But is this SVG or vector? Okay, let's just install this, okay, and check if everything is working correctly. Okay, so the first one has been installed. Let's paste this one, enter. So we'll be making use of the cart icon. So let's search for material icons. So let us search for cart. So we are going to use, we have filled, outlined, rounded. Okay, we'll be making use of filled, and we'll be copying the third one, that is the shopping cart. So let's import it. So let's pretty much paste on this. I mean, click on that so that value gets copied to the clipboard. And yeah, let's come back to our pizza. I mean, not the pizza item. Let's come back to our, where should we paste that? I mean, in the header. And let's create a new div over here. Okay, let's firstly import our icon as such, like this. Okay, so let's just render it over here. So shopping cart icon, save the file. Let's come back to our web page. Okay, we can't see anything. Why is that? Yeah, so we can see the icon coming up. So now what we do is we're gonna give the styling to it. Okay, so basically let's write in style. We are gonna say it's gonna be a color of white. Save the file. Okay, so we are gonna provide a span tag to this. So inside the span tag will be pretty much showing the values. Okay, that is the number of items that is present inside the cart. Okay, so let's say span. So this is gonna be, so let's say span. Let's access our cart inside our header file. So use selector. Let's import it from React Redux. Let's access the state dot cart. Okay, so now inside our span tag, to access the number of items inside the cart, it's pretty much going to be cart.length, right? So it's simple. So let's say cart.length. So cart.length, save the file. And now what we do is we are going to provide the styling. So if you come to the web page, it should be 0 currently, as you can see, because there are no items added into the cart. So let's give some styling to the span tag. Okay, so let's say let's give the inline styling itself. Okay, so firstly we have a background color of white. So background color of white. Let's give a basic width and height to it. So we're going to say width of, let's say 12, and a height of 12 also, and a border radius of 6 to make it look exactly circular. Okay, so it's going to be border radius of, where did that go? Border radius of 6, and we're going to say text align of center. Save the file, and we're going to give it a position of absolute, and we're going to give a bottom of 10, and we're going to give a left of 10. Okay, so let's save the file. Let's check out our web page once. Okay, nothing is working. I think we need to make our div relative. So let's try that. So class name, it's going to be not class name. Let's give the style to this. So style is going to be position, and let's make it relative. Save the file. Yeah, so we can see the icon coming. I mean the number coming. So I think we should just push it towards the right. Let's keep it 14 and 14. Okay, yeah, I think that's looking good. So now let's give the font size for the span tag basically. So over here, let's give font size of 13 pixels for font size of 13 and font weight of, let's keep it bold. Okay, no, bold is not looking good. Font weight of, let's say, 400. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty better. I think let's increase the width basically. Okay, let's keep it to be 14. And let's give 7 over here. Okay, save the file. Yeah, I think that's looking perfect. So if you add items, so 1, 2, 3, yeah, so that's working absolutely fine. So the next step we look into is basically to install the React router DOM. Okay, so let's do that part right now. So let's head over to React router DOM. And let's come to quick start, and let's install basically this dependency, that is yarn add React router DOM, like this. Okay, so now what we do is we're gonna just paste that over here, that is yarn add React router DOM. So this should install the dependencies for the React router DOM. So let's come back to our app.js first. Okay, and inside our screens folder, we're gonna create first thing, that is our home.js. Okay, so let's write our fce, and let's also write our home.css as well. Home.css. Let's import our home.css into our home.js. So we're going to say import home.css, save the file, and yeah, so now I think the dependency has been installed. So now what we do is we're gonna pretty much copy whatever they've given, that is from router. So until here. Okay, what was this then? I think both are pretty much the same. Let's copy this. So let's just paste it inside our app.js like this. Okay, so after the router, we're going to initialize our provider. So it's going to be provider like this. And inside a provider, we're going to provide all these values that is present, right? So pretty much let's remove the div that's not at all required. So here, let's remove this also. Let's format the document once. Okay, so the provider is of course going to take in the store. So let's give that store value to it. So the next part is instead of switch, we'll be making use of something called as routes. Okay, so hopefully we could import that. So we're going to say import routes, not from this thing, it should be from React router DOM. Or let's pretty much import it manually first, these values, that is router from React router DOM. We need the switch. Okay, we'll not be making use of the switch basically. We'll be making use of the routes. Okay, so instead of the switch, we have the routes, right? So let's remove the switch and let's write routes instead of that. Okay, so let's write that like this. And next what we do is the next thing is, so where we have, let's remove this about also, even the users, also the home. I think we need the home, we do not want it. So inside the routes, we're going to provide a single route for everything. Okay, so it's going to be a self-closing tag, that is the route. So it's going to take in the next thing, that is the element. So we're going to pass in the home element, right? That is that inside our screens folder that we just created. Let's import that like this, and let's save the file, and let's pretty much remove these values. Okay, so let's write another route. So the path of this is going to be cart. slash cart. So wherever there is just a slash forward slash, so this is the meaning that it is in the main home screen. Okay, so that's where we render our products and the header. So where we have cart, in that element, firstly let's create our cart screen. So inside our screens folder, we're gonna say cart.js rfce to get the shorthand snippet, and let's save the file. Let's come over here, and let's also create our car.css also, right? So new file, so car.css, let's import our car.css inside our car.js like this. Okay, so the next thing we look into is the element tag. Okay, so the element is gonna be, this time is gonna be cart. Okay, so let's import cart. Come on, let's import cart from the screens folder like this. And I think, why is it giving that error? I think because we have not closed something, right? Okay, because this should come. Okay, my bad, getting confused. Okay, we have not closed it, my bad, correct. Yeah, so now it's correctly working. So inside our home screen, what we do is, let's save this and let us, I think everything is imported. We have not imported router, I guess. Okay, I know it's imported, that also is imported. So now inside our home screen, firstly we're gonna import our header. Okay, header from our header component. So let's just do that, control space bar. Let's import from the components folder like this. So after the header we have is of course the body. So let's import the body folder from the components folder as such, like this, command control space bar. Okay, so now let's give a class name of home to this, class name of home, and let's save the file. So now let's move on to the home.css. So previously we had something called as app.js. App.js. Inside the app.js we had a class name called as app. So for the app we had given some basic styling. Okay, so now inside the app.js we have nothing but the routers. So for that reason we need to give the style again for the home screen. So if you check out the page over here, that is the web page. Okay, nothing is seen. Why is that? Let's check out a console once. Is there any error? Okay, error occurred in the router component. Okay, so firstly let's give the styling to the home screen. Okay, so over here let's target the home. So we're going to say display flex, flex direction of column, and then we're going to give a background color of E0 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 and a height of 100 VH. Okay, save the file. Let's come back to our app.js and let's see why exactly we are not able to see the router. The home screen basically, right? So if you come over here, okay, let's import this itself and then we're going to make the changes, right? So let's let's paste it over here. So let's import roots, and I think root is already imported. We have roots, and yeah, let's save the file. Hopefully it should show us all the products. Yes, now it's working absolutely fine. Okay, so now let's say so this is the main page, this is the / main home screen. So now if I press on the cart, that is / cart, we should just be seeing the cart. Yes, so now everything is working absolutely fine. So now if the user presses over here, so we'll be making use of basically the use navigate, and we'll be coming over. So whenever the user presses on this button, we'll be coming to the cart screen. Okay, so let's do that. So inside our header, basically where we have the icon, so let's initialize our navigate. So const navigate equals to use navigate. Let's import it from, is this the correct spelling? Use navigate, no suggestion, so let's just check it out from Chrome, right? So use navigate in React router DOM. Yeah, so let's import this piece of code, and what we're going to do is we're going to just paste it over here, and whenever we press on the diff button, so on press we're gonna say write a function. We're gonna say navigate to /cart. So basically we are going to provide the location where we want to navigate to. So this is the location we want to navigate to, that is /cart. So hopefully this should work. And if we press on the button, so let's give a cursor of pointer to the entire div, right? So we have position of relative. Let's say cursor of pointer like this. Okay, so let us pretty much save the file. And now what we do is let's check that out. Okay, that's not working. Let's see why that is not working. Okay, so okay, we have on progress instead of on click. That's my bad. On click, come on, save the file. Yeah, hopefully now it should work. So yeah, so now we are correctly coming into the card screen, coming into the card screen, and yeah, so even this part is working completely fine. So the next part we look into is, so if there are any items present inside our cart, we're going to display these items and we'll be showing the minus and plus button to increase or decrease the quantity. And basically towards the right part we'll be showing the checkout button where we have the total price being calculated and all that other information. Okay, so let's do that part right now. So now let's start designing the cart page. Okay, so over here we'll be seeing all the items that are added to our cart. Okay, so if you go over here to the back, we have pretty much 2 items added, as you can see over here. So we'll be designing, so we'll be basically showing those 2 items inside our cart page. Okay, so now let's come back to our cart.js. Firstly, let's access our cart over here. So we're going to say const cart equals to use selector. Let's import from React Redux. We're going to access the state and let's access the cart like this. Okay, and over here firstly before doing anything, let's just draw a sketch of the design. Okay, so like towards the left part we're gonna have basically all the items, and towards the right part we will be showing the total price and basically the checkout button, right? So for that reason, let's write 2 divs over here. So we're gonna say div. Okay, so let us give a comment saying this is the left part containing all the products. Okay, so this is for the left part and this is the right part containing the total price and the checkout, right? So let's write the div for this as well. So div. Okay, so these 2 divs are gonna be in a row fashion. So for the outermost div, that is the parent container, we're gonna give the class name. Okay, so this is gonna be cart itself. So for this, let's give the class name. So this is gonna be cart left, and for the right one, let's give cart right. Okay, so I think we have already imported the cart.css file. So let's save this file once and let's open up our cart.css. Okay, so firstly let's access our cart, that's the outermost one. So we're gonna give a display of flex. We're gonna give a flex of 1, and I think that's it for the cart. So the next thing we look into is basically the cart left part, right? Okay, so let's target that. So we're gonna say cart left and we're gonna give a flex of 3 for this, and we also are gonna give a background color of white for this, and display flex. Okay, so let's target the next one, that is basically cart right. Let's come back to our cart.css. Let's target cart right, and for this we're going to give a flex of 2. Okay, so basically this is taking most of the space. Okay, this is taking most, basically the products is taking most of the space, and towards the right we have a little space for the total as well as the checkout button. Okay, so just to see everything how it looks, we are going to give a background color of green for this. Okay, so for the left part, and for the right part we're going to give let's say orange for now, and let's check it out. Okay, so let's give a basic message inside our both the divs. We're going to say h1 or h3. We're going to say left part, and let's again initialize h3 tag over here which says right part. Okay, so yeah, let's save the file once, come back to our web page. Yeah, so as you can see, this has taken this much space. Okay, so this for the left part is for the products, and the right part is basically for the total and the checkout button. Okay, so now before this we need to show the header also over here, so that's a simple thing to do. So let's include a fragment before, and let's put all of the div over here, and before the div we are going to show the header, right? So let's format this once, and over here let's just access our header from our components folder as such and import it like this. Okay, so let's save the file. Yeah, so there you go, we are able to see the header over here also, right? So now what we do is the next thing is yeah, let us start styling up our cart part. Okay, so let's give some spacing and padding for the cart left over here. Let's give a margin of 20 pixels. Okay, and save the file. Yeah, so it is gonna start from over here. So now what we do is, with the help of cart, so this is an array, so we're gonna map through the cart array, and then we'll display all the products that are there. Okay, so let's do that part. So over here where we have cart left, you're gonna say cart dot map for every item and index. Okay, we are gonna return a div. Okay, let's return a div tag, and let's remove this h3 tag, that's not required. Okay, so for the div tag we are gonna have basically three things. Okay, so div, again another div, and finally again another div. So the first div is basically going to contain the image tag, that is the image of the item that is present. So let's write an image like this. Okay, so the source is gonna be src, it's gonna be item.image basically. Okay, so this is gonna be class name, let's give a class name to this, and let's say cart image for this. Okay, so let's give, so this, the second div is basically going to contain all the descriptions. Okay, so let's give the class name for this as well. So this is going to be cart description. All right, so the last one is pretty much going to contain the total price and the buttons, that is basically to increase the quantity or decrease the quantity. Okay, so class name is going to be cart total. Okay, so let's give the style to the image, let's give inline styling as well over here. So we are gonna say height of 60 and a width of 60, and let's give a slight border radius of, let's say, 6 or 5. Okay, and I think let's save the file once. Yeah, so you can see the image is coming up. So now what we do is so currently they are in flex directions of row, so we do not want that. Okay, so we want it to come in a column, right? So I think we need to make changes for the cart left that we have done, that is, let's come to the cart.css, I think this one, because of that reason it's coming in the row. And let's remove the background color of green and let's give it white. And for the overall container, we are going to give a gray color. Okay, so for this cart, okay, so we're going to give a gray color. So we're going to say background color of e0 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 and save the file. So now, yeah, so you can see correctly coming, I mean the images are correctly in the white background, right? So let's give some internal spacing, that is padding, to basically the cart left part, I think. So if you come to the cart.css, let's also give a padding of 20 or 15 pixels, and let's see how exactly this looks. Okay, yeah, I think that's looking better, not bad. So now what we do is, let's give some margin bottom to the cart left. So margin bottom of 20 pixels for each of the products that are coming. Save the file. Okay, we have lost the state, so let's add some items to our cart and let's check it out. Okay, I don't think that's being applied, right? Okay, so let us just remove that, and I think we should apply this to over here, this div. Okay, let's give inline styling for this. Okay, margin bottom of 20. Hopefully this should work. Yeah, now we can see the images coming up. So the next thing is, so towards the right we have all the description part. Okay, so let's write all that. So let's access a h3 tag. So this is, the first thing is going to be of course the name, so we're going to say item.name. Save the file. Yeah, so you can see the name coming up. So now what we do is, so the second thing we have over here is, let's say a h4 tag. So this is going to be the item.description. Description. Okay, and after this we have is, let's say again a h4 tag. So this is gonna have a basic tag which says regular crust, 100% thin white crust. Okay, and let us save the file once. Okay, we can see all the information coming up correctly. So now let's give the class name for the text basically. So class name is gonna be cart text. Okay, so the second class name is gonna be cart text description. So this is gonna be a class name of cart type. Okay, so now let's access the top div, and we are gonna give a display of flex because we want them to come in a row. So display of flex and flex direction of row. We're gonna say align items of center and justify content of space between. Okay, so save the file. Let's come back to our web page once. Yeah, so you can see the correct styles being applied except for the second one. I don't know why it's taking up so much of space. Okay, so let's pretty much style up our text part. Okay, so firstly let's access our cart text over here. Let's come back to our cart.css, target that one and give the font size of 13 pixels and a font weight of 500. Okay, so the next one is basically, I think it's cart description, cart text description. Okay, so let's target this one, and we're gonna give a font size of 14 pixels and a color of gray basically, and the font weight is gonna be 400. Okay, so for the cart description that is going to contain these three texts, we are going to give a margin left. Okay, because it's almost touching the image part. So let's target this one, and we're going to give a margin left of 10 to this. Okay, of 10 pixels and save the file. So let's come back to our web page over here. Yeah, so you can see this part. So I think it's taking so much of space because we have given another div also, so that's the reason. Okay, so now let's fill up the other div, that is basically the total part. So this is gonna contain a h4 tag. So the way we calculate total is, we have to multiply the item dot quantity multiplied by the item dot price. Okay, so item dot price multiplied by item dot quantity. Okay, so save the file. Yeah, so now you can see the correct price is being applied to it. Okay, so I don't think we need to apply justify, I mean space between, because the middle part is actually not working properly. Let's remove that and check it out. Yeah, so for the second part, we're just going to give a flex of 1. Okay, for the second diff we're going to give a flex of 1, so that it takes up the maximum space and it pushes it basically pushes the total part towards the right. So after this we have is the diff. So this is basically for the card buttons that we have. So let's give a class name of card buttons. Okay, and what we have is next is, yeah, we forgot to give, yeah, a flex of 1 to the card description. So let's save the file. So for the card description we're going to give a flex of 1. Okay, okay, nothing is working because, okay, because I think we have not applied a display of flex, right? So we're going to say display of flex and flex direction of column, and I think now it should work because we have given flex of 1. And no, still it's not showing up because we need to push this towards the right. Or we can do one thing, that is basically we can uh, slice out this value, that is basically the description. So we're going to say if its length is greater than 30, in that case we're just going to say item dot description dot substring of 0 comma 30, and we're gonna else in we're gonna add the 3 dots, else we're just gonna show the total description, that is item dot description. Okay, so let us save the file. It's formatted once. Okay, yeah, so now let's try it. Okay, but still this part is not working. So let's give a margin left to this, or let's actually increase the size to 60 or 80 because we have space. We have a huge amount of space actually. Okay, 80 is also looking good. So now for the card total, let's try to give one thing, that is a margin left of auto. So we're going to say margin left of auto. Okay, yeah, so that part is working fine. So now we can see the price towards the left part, and we can see the description part correctly coming towards the center part of the image, right? So now let's target basically this thing, the cart type that's not been styled. So let's come to the cart.css. So let's pretty much access that, and we're going to give a font size of 14 pixels and a font weight of 500. Okay, let's save the file. Yeah, so you can see the text coming out correctly. So I think that's it. Now we're gonna show up the buttons. Okay, so that's gonna come over here inside our card buttons. So let's write in the div. So this is basically going to contain the plus button. Let's give the class name for this. So class name is going to be a card button in singular. Let's copy this a couple of times. So this is going to contain pretty much the quantity, right? So to access that, it's going to be item dot quantity. And for the right one we have is pretty much the minus button. So let's save the file. Okay, so you can see the buttons being applied on the web page. So let us make it a flex direction of row. So for that reason, let me access the card buttons. Okay, so let's go over to card.css, and we're going to say display of flex and align items of center first, and justify content of let's say space between, and let's check it out. Yeah, I think it's looking better, not bad. So let's provide some padding, I mean not padding, some spacing towards the top. Okay, so let's say margin top of 10 pixels and save the file. Yeah, so we can see it being applied. So let's provide firstly let's target the cart button and let's give it a cursor of pointer. Okay, so target this and we're going to say cursor of pointer. and save the file. Yeah, I think that is being applied. Okay, so now we are gonna basically show something that is basically we are going to dispatch items, okay, into the cart. That is if you press on the minus or plus button. So before that, let's say this part overflows, so for that reason we are going to give overflow of scroll for this towards the left part. So let's access basically, where did that go? We're going to access the cart left, okay, and we're going to say overflow y of scroll. Okay, I think even overflow is going to should work. So save the file. So in case we have a lot of items, we can be able to scroll through this part. Okay, so now let's of course give the functionality for the minus button as well as the plus button that is present. So what we do is, let's come back to our card.js and let's give on click event to the plus button first. Okay, so we are going to say increase quantity of the item. Okay, so now let's define this function right at the top over here. Before that, let's initialize our dispatch action. So const dispatch equals to use dispatch. Let's import it from React Redux. So we are going to say const increase quantity equals to item. Okay, so over here what we are going to do is, we are just going to dispatch it. We're going to access increment quantity from our cart slice, basically that is this one, and we're going to pass in the item basically, right? So let's import this increment quantity from the cart slice as such and save the file. Okay, so I think that's it about the increment quantity. So let's try if that is working exactly. So if you press on the plus button, I think let's keep it in the opposite way. So minus should come towards the left and plus should come towards the right, and let's pretty much change this function to the bottom. Okay, so over here, save the file. Okay, so now let's say if I press on the plus button, okay, nothing is happening. Why is that? Okay, we should actually increase the quantity. Let's see if we have done anything wrong over here. Okay, so we are dispatching increment quantity and we are providing item to it. So over here inside a cart slice where we have the action, we are basically accessing if the item is present, and then we are increasing the quantity by 1. Okay, so but it is still not working, right? So let's check out our console once. So if you press on this, okay, pretty much nothing is happening. So firstly, okay, let's also write the action for, I mean the function for the next thing, that is on click equals to decrease quantity of the item that is coming over here. Okay, let's also give the key to this. Key is going to be index. Okay, so where we have decreased quantity of item, let's pretty much initialize that. So const decrease quantity of item, we're going to say dispatch decrement quantity of item. Let's pretty much import decrement quantity like this. Okay, and save the file. So let's refresh the app and site from the start. Okay, let's add some let's add some items into the cart, and let's press on the minus button. Okay, the minus button is working absolutely fine. Okay, so let's press on the plus button. that's not getting increased, right? I think there is some error that I'm not able to figure it out. So let's check from again the start. So increment quantity, I think we have not exported it. Is that the case? Let's check it out inside our cart slice. Increment quantity is exported, and we are checking if item present. Okay, we have filled. Okay, my bad. We are filtering it out, right? So we have to make use of the find method, not find index, find, save the file. I think now it should work, right? So let's come back over here and let's check this out. Add some items to the cart. Let's refresh it once. Add some items to the cart. Okay, now if I press on the plus button, yes, now it's working absolutely fine. So instead of the find method, we had written filter, so that's the reason it was not working. So now if I press on the minus button, it should just decrease the quantity by 1. Okay, yes, it's working. And if I press on this should get removed from the cart. Okay, yeah, now it's working absolutely fine. So now what we do is, towards the left part we start designing basically the right part. Okay, so let's get into that. So finally let's come to the card.js, and instead of a background color of orange, we're going to give it as white itself, but we're going to give some margin to it. So we're going to say margin of again 20 pixels, that is external spacing to that particular container. And we're going to show basically all the details that are going to come up over here. Okay, so let's get started with that now. Okay, let's come to our card.js and start writing the styles for the right part over here. So first let's check out the original application, and then let's design according to it. That's basically towards the right part, the total and the checkout. Okay, so let's go to Chrome and then let's search for pizza. Okay, so if you press on the checkout button, you have pretty much towards the right, we have all the total part as well as the designs being rendered. So we'll be making use of this and then we'll be rendering it. Okay, so let's come back to our uh, right part, that is over here, and let's initialize a div. Okay, and let us, so this is gonna be choose delivery address. Let's save the file and then let's come back to our web page. Okay, let's provide some padding to this, that is basically towards the cart right, and let's say class name is gonna be cartwright text. So let's save the file, let's come back to cartwright and a padding of let's say 15 pixels. Okay, yeah, so you can see that space being applied. So the next thing we look into is we're going to target basically the cartwright text, this one, and let us paste that over here. And we're going to give a font size of 14 pixels and font weight of 500. Okay, so let's save the file. Yeah, so you can see that text being applied. So the next thing we look into is basically this part, that is this is the select location. So let's do that. So inside the card.js where we have that, so we need the access to the icon. So let's go into material UI and let's go over here and let's search for material icons. Okay, we need the location. So let's choose this one. Let's copy that out and let's paste it over here. And the first thing we have over here is, let's access the location, that is add location icon. Okay, so after this we have a text attribute, I guess, so that is going to be this one which is select location. So we have two text, so that for that reason we're going to make use of another div. Okay, so let's say a h4 tag over here, it's going to say select location. Another h4 tag. So let's pretty much copy these both of the texts. Okay, and paste it over here. So let's remove this one that's not required, and let's format it once, and let's save the file. Okay, let's come back to our page. Yeah, so you can see the icon coming up. So now what we do is let's give the class name for this thing. So class name, it's gonna be cart top. Okay, so this is gonna be cart right text. So class name, okay, we already have a class name for cart right. Okay, cart right text, so we're gonna say cart right description. Okay, so firstly let's access our cart top, come back to our cart.css, and we're gonna give a display of flex to it. So we're gonna say display of flex, and let's say a flex direction of row. I don't think that's required, and let's just save the file. Let's see how exactly it's looking. Okay, it's looking better. So now let's give some margin top to this. Okay, margin top of 10 pixels or 7 pixels. Okay, so let us decrease the size of the icon. So where we have the icon over here, let's give it some inline styling. So we're gonna say a color of gray. Okay, and the font size is gonna be of 13. Okay, 13 is looking too small. Let's give it at least 17. Okay, okay, so now what we do is we are gonna target the text basically. So let's target these two texts, so the cart right description, and then we're gonna target the h4 inside that. Okay, so target the h4, and we're gonna give a font size of 14 pixels, and let's give a color of gray for this. Okay, so you're gonna say color of gray and save the file. Okay, and let's also give, I think the font size is 14. Let's give the font weight. Let's give 400 pixels, not 400, just not 400 pixels, just 400 the value. Okay, and let's provide some spacing towards the left to the card description. Okay, so card description, we're gonna say margin left of 10 pixels. Okay, I think that's looking better. So now again we have this one, that is login to use saved address. Okay, we have the button coming up, so let's just put that under this part. Okay, the select location part. So let's come to our car.js, and where we have the div, or where we have the h4 button, I mean the h4 tag, we're gonna say button, and we're gonna say and location. Okay, and let's save the file. Let's give some inline styling to this. Okay, so we're gonna say color of green. We're gonna give some border is gonna be 1. Okay, let's give 1, and border color is gonna be green. I think instead of border 1, we're gonna give a border width of some value, right? Let's give it 0.7 and save the file. Yeah, so you can see the button coming up. So let's give it a cursor pointer also, right? So over here we're gonna say cursor pointer, and let's give some spacing towards the top, that is margin top of 7. Save the file. Yeah, so you can see the button being applied. I mean the cursor is being applied, and even the spacing is there on the top part. Okay, so now let's copy this div again, so to render the next part, so this one, and let's paste it over here. So let's save the file. Okay, so this part is going to contain again this text. So it's only going to contain one single text instead of two. So let's remove the first one, I mean the second one, and paste this text over here. Okay, and let us come back. Let's save the file and let us check this out. Okay, yeah, so I think let's provide some border radius to the button that is present. Okay, so where we have the button, the first button over here, let's format document once. And over here we are gonna say border radius of 4. Let's copy this piece of text and then let us paste it over here. Okay, save it, save the file. Yeah, so you can see the button being, I mean the border is being applied to the button. I think we also should give some padding to it, that is some internal spacing, because it's not spaced out correctly. So 4, padding of 4. The same thing of over here, that is padding of 4, and save the file. Okay, all right, so the next thing we have is to basically design this part. We're not going to look into this, so we'll be designing the price details part of it. So let's do that. Okay, so essentially after all the views that we have, I mean all the divs that we have, we're going to return. Okay, so after these two informations, we are again initializing a h3 tag, which is going to say the price details, right? Yeah, so let's write that out. So price details, right? Let's give the same class name to this, that is Cartwright text. It's going to have the same design styles for this as well. Save the file. Okay, yeah, so let's provide some margin top to this as well, that is Cartwright text. Okay, let's come to the cart.css, and where we have the Cartwright text, let's give a margin top of 6 pixels. Okay, I think this is also going to be applied for the top one. Okay, it's good. So now what we do is we are gonna design this part basically. So we're gonna make use of another div and initialize two texts inside of it. Okay, so let's come to cart, and over here let's say div, let's write another div. So these are going to contain two texts. So let's check out the first one, what we have. So pretty much is going to be the subtotal of all the items that is present. Okay, so let's write that. So subtotal, and again we have h4. So firstly let's calculate the total of the cart, total price of the cart. So we're going to say const total equals to cart.map. For every item we're going to say item.price multiplied by item.quantity. Okay, then after we have found out this, we are going to make use of the reduce method, and we're going to add up all the prices for each and every item that is present inside the cart. So this is going to calculate only for one item. So if you want to calculate it for different items that are present inside the cart, we'll be making use of the reduce method. Okay, so reduce is going to take in the current and the previous value, and we're going to say current plus previous. Okay, current plus previous, and the reduce method is going to take an initial value of 0. So that is at the initial stage the sum is going to be 0, because yeah, so so from 0 we're going to add up all the values that is calculated over here, that is item.price multiplied by item.quantity. Okay, so let us just firstly check the console.log of total, and let's check if it is correctly working. So let's save the file, and let's come back to our console once over here, and let's inspect. Okay, yeah, so 738. Okay, so 529 plus 209 is 738, so it's getting calculated correctly. Okay, so now we'll be displaying that value inside our h4 tag. Okay, that is going to be over here. So let's pretty much access total like this. So total. Okay, so let's also access the rupee symbol that is present. So let's pretty much go over here and access this piece of symbol. Okay, I'm not able to copy that, or let's copy this one if that's possible. Okay, never mind, it's not getting copied. Okay, not to worry. So now let's write the second part, that is, or firstly let's style this div. Okay, let's provide inline styling itself to this div. So we're going to say style. So we're going to say display of flex. Okay, and we are going to say align items of center. So for the first text, that is subtotal, let's give the inline styling for this. So we're going to say font size of 12 or 13 and font weight of 500. Okay, so let's save the file. Oh, okay, it's looking good. So now what we do is we are going to provide some spacing towards this part. I think there is a lot of space over here. Only a little amount of space is taken. So I think let's provide a flex of 4 to this. That is basically the left part. And let's keep this to be 2 itself, right? So where we have our cart, right? Let's go to the cart.css where we have flex that is given. Okay, let's keep this to be 4. And let's see how exactly it looks. Okay, or let's just keep it as, okay, if this is 1, let's keep this as 0.7 and this should be 0.3. Okay. Yeah, I think that's looking better. Or let's, yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so now for the inside our div, let's give specify content of space between. So we're gonna say space between. Let's save the file. Yeah, so you can see the correct price being shown, and it is justify content space between. So let's pretty much copy the same piece of styling for this for the price as well over here and save the file. Okay, so now let's give some margin top to this div. It's almost touching the top text. So margin top of 5. All right, so let's pretty much copy this div a couple of times and then we're gonna render the total price. Okay, so this is gonna have a discount and it's gonna be currently nothing. That is just a empty hyphen that they've given. Okay, so after that we have is basically the taxes and charges part, right? So let us style that out. So where we have subtotal, it's gonna be taxes and charges. Okay, so this is gonna be, let's say, about 65 rupees. And after this we have is basically the last one, that is the grand total. So let's again initialize this div again. So this time instead of font weight of 500 we're gonna give it bold. Okay, and we're gonna say grand total. Okay, so this is gonna be pretty much the total price plus 65, whatever the value is. So total plus 65. Okay, okay, so that's working correctly. So I think that's it about the price details part. So the next thing we look into is basically yeah, so the place order button we have. So I think let's increase the font sizes for the grand total part. Okay, so instead of 13 we're gonna give 15 and 15 over here. Let's keep this to be 600, and for all the other price items we're gonna give 15 over here as well, 15 and 15 over here. And same thing should apply for all the texts because 13 is looking a bit small, I guess. So let's come back to our web page. Okay, I think that's looking better. So now after this we have is pretty much the button. So let's design that button real soon. So which says place order, right? So this is gonna come after this div, I hope. So let's say button. So this is gonna say place order. Okay, so let's give some styling to the button. So basically class name of cart button. I hope there is no other name of cart button, right? Hopefully, yeah, so there is cart button, so we're gonna say cart button, right? Okay, so pretty much copy this class name, save the file. Let's come back to our cart.css file and we're gonna say a background color of green. Okay, so the color of text should be white, and pretty much we're gonna say text align of center and a bit of border radius of, let's say, 5 pixels. And we also have a font weight. Okay, let's give a font weight of 600 for this, and let's save the file and let's see how exactly this looks. Okay, let's come back to the web page. Okay, so yeah, it's not looking that good. I think we have some outline and a border. So let's say border none and outline none. So border is going to be none, and even the outline that is present should be none. and let's give it a width of, let's say, 100 percentage. Hopefully it should take up the entire space. And we are also going to give a bit of spacing, internal spacing of, let's say, 8 pixels, and save the file. Okay, I think we just can give the width of 200 to this. So let's write that out. So width of 200 pixels. Okay, and yeah, let's provide some margin top to it. So we're gonna say margin top of 10 pixels. Let's try giving margin left of auto and margin right of auto, so that it tries to center itself within that container. Okay, it's not working out. Okay, so I think that's better. It's looking good there itself. So let's remove these two styles and let's save the file once. Okay, so pretty much we have designed this part, and even this part is working exactly fine. Okay, so I think that's it about this project. We have learned about how to pretty much add the item to the cart and remove this item from the cart with the help of the Redux toolkit. And we have pretty much shown with the help of the React DOM inside the cart page all the cart items. And towards the right, we are pretty much rendering these items and the total price. Okay, I think that's it about this video. Let's see you in the next video, and then thank you for watching.